So there's some new V8s and some new V6s out there and some big old turbos coming out.
All these new vehicles on this episode of Up to Date. So in our last week episode for Up to Date, we talked about how Acura was going to live stream the release of the TLX Type S. You watched more of it than I did. So all of it, which is more than me because I did not watch all of it, so that makes sense. So now we've actually seen real photos of it, live videos of it, of them driving around and stuff. What did you think of it? What was your opinion?
Great stuff. I mean, this is a huge update to their already what I like TLX. And quite frankly, you know, some people out there are saying, and even us, in my opinion, this is a long overdue. This is a thing that they should have come out with 2012, 2015. I know that they had the Type S stuff back in the mid 2000s, late 2000s. So
there's been a hiatus for it.
Yeah, and in this segment, the luxury car segment, you have to have a performance car.
Yeah, when you have AMGs, M Series, and even like with the Toyotas, you have the F Series, the F Sports, like
Lexus. Yeah. The biggest thing about it is,
I say Toyota, and I'm supposed to be a car podcast host, and I don't even know.
Biggest thing though is that bothers people, even if they weren't gonna buy, like maybe say a convertible.
Yeah.
They like to know that if they went to a brand that it was available.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's even if they only went with the Turbo 4, they would still like to know, like, oh yeah, but like they'd be proud of the brand saying, hey man, they got that Turbo V6 that pumps out some crazy horsepower.
Yeah, and the current TLX, speaking of engines, you have the 2.4 4-cylinder and then the 3.5 V6. With the new TLX, they're supposed to get an updated 4-cylinder and then, like what we talked about at the beginning, this new 3-liter 6-cylinder 24-valve dual overhead cam, direct injected and turbocharged V6 with my favorite part, as you call it, the Shaw D, the super handling all-wheel drive system, which is the only option for the Type S is the Shaw D, as we will call it on this podcast here. I just think like everybody's out there, our luxury sedan sports performance one has an all-wheel drive system, and Acura's like, how can we make ours catchier and better? The super handling all-wheel drive system.
Well, there's probably some truth to just these Japanese automakers. They're more conservative in their naming conventions and they're very to the point.
Yeah.
I'm not against it because a lot of people out there say it's a great system that they have on their gear pattern and stuff like that, or whatever, their all-wheel drive, the drivetrain and everything. So it's nice and people enjoy it. But besides that, I mean, this is a huge step for them. I'm really excited. I especially like the new design. The only thing that they kept original or from the shelf, as they say, in their line on this new Type S is the brakes. And what's funny about it is it's from the top shelf because it came from the NSX in their line. So this is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Very excited.
But overall, like you said earlier, long overdue. And it appears that some of these other Japanese automakers are long overdue for updates. For instance, we talked about the Nissan Z in a past episode. Well, now Nissan has released a video, a commercial, if you will. They're saying all their vehicle models from A to Z, and it's listing everything from Armada, Frontier, Titan, Rogue, all the way down to Z, and it shows a silhouette of what is supposed to be the new 400Z, I think is what the name they're going to go with, which we'll overlay the video for you guys while we talk about it. But to me, this is very exciting confirmational news from Nissan.
Right.
Because it's all been speculation up to this point, really.
Yeah. And what's great is we've already talked to you guys about the Z, and even before when we talked about Acura. Now, what's really cool about this as well, outside of the 400Z, is it looks like Nissan's redesigning all of their cars, which that doesn't happen very often.
Well, also in this video, people have been talking about, which, of course, some people might not find it as exciting, but the updated Frontier, which has been literally the same truck for 10 or 12 years, I think, almost now, which is ridiculous.
They even skipped a model year in 2019, and they just kept what is it? They overmade the 2018 and just
Rebrand.
kept giving their dealers 2018 models, saying it was the 2019 with the 2018 name badge.
That's like what GM and I think maybe even what Ram did. They had the 1500 Classic, or it was a 2018 model, but they're rebranding it as a 2019.
Yeah.
So similar thing, but there's nothing wrong with taking a year off. Hyundai did it with the Veloster, where they took 2018 or maybe just 2019 off. No, it was 2018, and then they came out 2019 with the new body style. Like, that's fine if you got to take a break to redesign it. I think that's fine. They have so many other vehicles than Nissan does. So
I mean, but the biggest thing about even that Frontier is now you have the standard V6, which is huge. That was to me, it's really silly to own a truck that doesn't at least have a V6 in it. That's no offense to anyone out there that has a 4-cylinder truck. If you're not really pulling anything and you just feel like driving a truck, whatever, that's your thing. But
if you drive a truck to do the truck bed stuff with it, you don't need to tow that much, which is what the V6 and even the V8s could do more of, which is fine. But there's not.
I want to do truck stuff with my truck friends. It's like I gotta have a V6. It better have turbos, maybe like a F-150. But other than that, get a V8. But
but speaking of turbos, with the 400Z, what's really cool is it appears that they're gonna go with the 3-liter twin turbo V6 that's in the Infiniti QC, which we've mentioned before. That
Q60?
Q60. That is Infiniti is Nissan's luxury brand, much like Lincoln is to Ford or Cadillac is to GM. So it appears they're going to pull that engine, and it's supposed to have reportedly produce 400 horsepower, hence the 400Z name, which is awesome.
But the biggest thing about that is, if it still has the 400 horsepower, I still want to see it tested on a track. And in similar fashion, people have had issues with the way they feel with like the windows down in the new Supra. So this is new information, is people don't like how the wind hits your face on the new Supra when the windows are down.
Oh, really?
Not enough testing has gone into how the wind and how it's adjusted.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something I'd like Nissan to actually figure out when they're going to build another like sports car, or even like what you call even a roadster, maybe if they're going to make a convertible. So I think they really need to hit a walk-off home run with this 400Z if they want to revive the brand of Nissan.
And especially with coupes. Like we said, they're redesigning a lot of stuff, but when Toyota came out with the Supra and then even this newer year model, they've already upped the power and upped the MPG, other stuff with it to make it better after 1 year. Nissan's been rolling with the 370Z for way longer than that.
12 years.
Haven't changed anything. It's a 3.7 liter V6 naturally aspirated with 332 horsepower. This is an already a huge bump in power going to a twin turbo smaller displacement V6 with almost 70 more horsepower than the previous
generation.
And
it's modern.
Yes.
Most people that have V6s are not naturally aspirated, and if they are, it's Lexus. And in similar fashion, it's another Japanese brand that stays very true to naturally aspirating their engines and very rarely turbocharging their engines. But it's long overdue. It's another thing, like we just talked about, the TLX Type S. Nissan needs this. Because maybe they sell 1 million Rogues and 1 million Frontiers, whatever, Altimas, I don't care what it is. They need some excitement in their brand. Like Ford may not sell 1 million Ford GTs, but the people that go buy a Mustang, they know there's a Ford GT. They know there's a Shelby GT500, but they still love the GT.
Yes.
The Mustang GT. It gives them something to just aspire to and be proud of that brand, and it's all about like what's going on there.
Yeah, and even so, like he's saying, there's a huge jump between Ford GT and a regular Mustang GT, and so throughout the years there's been little tiny stepping stones thrown in there as like a medium ground. Well, we've also, you can see that really our entire theme for today's podcast is 1, long overdue cars, and 2, stuff that we talked about in the past before and we have new updates on, and that being the Mach 1. Ford has officially...
Not Mach.
Not Mach-E, the Mach 1.
Actual Mustang.
Mach 1. So, don't get me heated on those. I like the Mach-E, but now we're talking with the Mach 1 Ford. Yes.
It's just something I can intake.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
I'm sorry, I'm exhausting all these car puns.
But the Mach 1, what we've read online, so we've shown you before in past episodes that they were test driving what appeared to be just a Bullet with some modifications on the street.
Right.
Well, now we're seeing here, it's again like what the retro 2003-2004 Mach 1 was. It was a nice stepping stone from the Mustang GT to the Mustang Cobra for people who didn't want all the Cobra performance, but they wanted more than what the base GT was offering.
Right.
The Mach 1 was the answer. So for people who don't want to buy a GT 500 or even a GT 350, but want more than a base GT, now we have the Mach 1 coming in 2021. And what it's supposed to be is a more track-focused car, so much like the GT 350, but at a cheaper price.
Right. And
to throw it back a little bit further, in the early 2010s, much like the Boss 302, where that was a track-focused car, but a step above the GT. It's supposed to have the same 5.0 Coyote engine that the GT has.
Which is fine.
Which is fine. It's a good engine. It's supposed to have more power. It's supposed to have upgraded suspension, and even supposed to have some weight reduction to it. Some stuff stripped out.
Nice.
Don't know exactly what yet,
No
but it's supposed to be, hopefully not in 2021. Like, that's
this
a
isn't a
must.
McLaren.
Yeah, so when I buy my Mach 1 in 2021 in Houston, Texas, I need the AC Ford, so please keep it in there. Don't take Josh's.
It's May
advice
30th.
on
We got word Jacob's going to buy a Mach 1.
I'm putting my deposit down now. But this will be a really awesome car. You've heard me talk in past episodes. As you can see, I don't know if you catch my subtle hints, but I'm a Mustang guy.
Jacob, our viewers can't read, so.
Oh, yeah. If you're tuning into our podcast, you probably can't read. But no, I'm playing.
I actually want to know if I can get my car painted in that camo checkered look that they got on these test cars. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be camouflage, but I think it's cool and we're missing out on it. So.
Yeah, I need that. Is it a vinyl wrap? I'm like, man, they're doing kind of cool stuff in the background.
Yeah, right. Make you seem more mysterious.
But yeah, this is a super cool step for the Mustang. I mean, like Jacob said, it's a heritage situation. They've always had a Mach 1, even back in the 70s, having the Mach 1. But I mean, this is important for them. They need to have something, like, no offense to the Bullet, but the Bullet is more of a namesake of the VIN, being like, you got a Bullet. It didn't add any extra performance. It's got a couple of extra badge things, similar to how Lexus does an F Sport. No offense, but it's just very cosmetic. And I think this is important for people to know that are going to step up and buy and help push the sales of a Mach 1 Mustang, is knowing that they are getting that extra bit. And
I mean, all the Bullets from 2001, like what I used to have in 08, 09, and even 2019, did have a minor bump in power, but it's not
enough.
And like we were saying, it's a halfway step. The Mach 1s were always a halfway step between GTs and like Cobras or Shelbys or whatever was the top tier. The Bullets have never been, they've been like a baby stepping stone above the GT. So this should be above that.
I mean, you look at
middle ground.
If you look at like a similar horsepower situation car, like a C63, the normal, the base one, has about 450-ish horsepower.
Right.
But the C63S has a little over 500.
Yeah.
So you talk about like, I spent the extra $10,000 to $15,000 and I got the car that's considerably faster, like another 0.3 or 0.4 off the 0 to 60 times. You're talking about like considerable horsepower. That's what I'm expecting out of this, but hopefully we do see something like that. We need some excitement in this car world we're living in, you know?
We do. And if you're sitting at home wondering, man, why doesn't this car company bring back this car or create another coupe? Let us know in the comments what you're long overdue waiting for and who should give us the next. Because it appears everybody's coming out with updated sports cars and stuff. So let us know who you think should be up on the block next to come up with a better improvement of current cars.
Right. If you guys have any cool cars you currently have that you think should be upgraded, with newer models in those lines. That's another thing we like to talk about. Let us know. But go ahead and put those in the comment section below, and also just to stay up to date, just like we are in this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified whenever we're putting up new content.
Oh yeah. Turn on notifications, follow us on the social media, everything. Stay up to date with this.
We're here for you guys, but besides that, that is Gulf Coast Gearheads signing off.